Willow was pregnant. And yet, right as I received her prenatal checkup report, she sent me a lewd photo taken in bed. Her message was simple. I slept with your best bro, and I'm carrying his child. Honestly, it felt amazing. I was speechless. Before I could even process what I had just read, a stream of comments appeared like a live chat. That's a lie. She didn't sleep with him. The baby's yours. She just wanted to make you jealous. What's wrong with that? Exactly. You're always working and ignoring Willow all the time. She just wants your attention. She needs you to put work aside and spend more time with her. What's wrong with that? All she wants is a reaction from you. Say something like, even if the baby's not mine, I'll still raise it if it's yours. That's all she wants. Unconditional love. I wasn't interested in figuring out whether it was true or not. Instead, I opened a browser and searched for abortion pills. The comment section that had been urging me to stay calm immediately went into meltdown. The baby's innocent. This is way too harsh, man. Come on. She only did this because she loves you. What's the big deal in apologizing? Another comment read, poor Willow. How'd she end up with a male lead who acts more like a toxic ex? Then someone added, I'll say it again. She loves him. She'd never really sleep with anyone else. I ignored them and put my phone back in my pocket. Willow happened to walk up and stop in front of me. She looked at me and asked, why are you here at the hospital? I pinched the bridge of my nose and said, didn't sleep well. Headache. The photo and message she had sent left me sitting on the couch all night like a statue. I called her countless times, but she never answered. According to the chat, Willow had also stayed up all night. She sipped red wine gracefully while listening to my ringtone again and again, waiting for it to ring and then letting the call automatically decline. She was enjoying the fact that I was frantic, worried, and hurting over her, as if that was the only way I could prove I cared. Hearing my excuse, Willow's lips curled into a smug little smile, like she was handing me a reward. She said, fine. I promise I won't spend the night out anymore. I didn't respond. I simply rubbed my temples. I was about to walk away when I noticed she was staring straight at me, almost like she was waiting for something. Hug her, the comments screamed. Tell her you were jealous. Tell her it hurt to see her in another man's arms. Say you'll raise the baby, even if it's not yours. Look at her eyes. They're practically sparkling. She's just waiting for you to say it. I took a deep breath, pretended not to see any of it, and kept walking. Suddenly, Willow tugged at my sleeve and pouted. George, don't you have anything to say to me? I stared at her. What do you want me to say? She got angry. Are you made of stone? Sometimes I just want to crack your chest open and see what's in there. Now's the time, bro. The comments chimed in again. Tell her it's all her in your heart. That might actually work. Without any expression, I pulled out my phone, opened the chat history, and held it up to her face. I should be asking you, Willow. What exactly are you trying to do? She froze for a second, then scoffed. It was just a punishment for losing a game of truth or dare. But hey, here's the good news. I actually am pregnant. I cut her off. Did it ever occur to you how I feel? She frowned. What's with you? I already told you. It was just a stupid dare. You don't have to act like this. On the third day after our ugly fallout, Willow posted an update online. Her friend was holding an umbrella for her while she tilted her head playfully and made a peace sign. The caption read, "A man who loves you will show up whenever you need him." I put down my phone and buried myself in work. I still had urgent matters to handle, and these tasks had to be done fast. The live comment chat started going off again. What the hell is wrong with the male lead? Still working at a time like this? Is he really choosing his job over his wife? She loves him so much and he's so indifferent. He really doesn't deserve her. Another comment said, "Honestly, all the male lead has to do is admit he was wrong. Then it's over. What's so bad about a happy little family of 3? Is it really that hard to admit you're just jealous?" I nodded calmly. Sure. Suddenly becoming a dad out of nowhere is kind of hard to process. Just then, Willow's best friend suddenly called me. Her voice was frantic. George, come quick. Something happened to Willow. There was a loud crash on her end, like a bottle shattering. She gasped and the line went dead. I rushed to the location she had sent me. As I approached the private room, I could already hear the laughter coming from inside. A woman laughed and said, "Come on, Willow. It's been forever. That workaholic George? He's not coming." Someone else chimed in. George simped after Willow for over 20 years before she finally gave in. You really think he's not going to show up? A guy responded. He didn't even react to Willow's post earlier. Anyway, Willow, you lost the bet, so don't back out. You promised to make George hand over the East Suburban Project. The East Suburban Project. I had worked myself half to death on that project for an entire year. Even when I had a fever, I still went to the office with 4 drips just to keep everything on track. And now she wanted me to give it away because of some stupid wager? Through the crack in the door, I saw Willow biting her lip and staring anxiously at her phone screen. The moment I pushed the door open, everyone looked up. Some looked disappointed while others looked surprised. Willow actually let out a quiet sigh of relief. Then, with a smug little snort, she said, "You all lost." Designer handbags, necklaces, and luxury jewelry were spread across the table. Willow glanced at them and smiled faintly. "Please, I already have this stuff. Like I care." One of her friends rolled her eyes. Yeah. You've got a husband who worships the ground you walk on. We get it." Another friend snarked. "Keep acting like that. And don't come crying when George finally has enough." Willow pouted. And then, as if she wanted to prove a point, she suddenly grabbed Makoto by the neck and started kissing him passionately. Then she beckoned me over with one finger. The live comments immediately exploded again. She just wants to see George punch Makoto for her. Do it, man. Don't chicken out. Another comment said, "Honestly, don't you think the female lead is being way too dramatic? Willow's already married. She's about to become a mother." Someone fired back, "You don't get it. This is love, okay? If George weren't so emotionally constipated, she wouldn't have gone this far." Another person asked, "Why do you think she waited so long to even let George touch her? We had been married for a year. We had been together for 3. But it wasn't until 2 months ago that she finally let me touch her for the first time. So how could that even be possible?" My brows furrowed, and my fists clenched slightly. They were all waiting for me to blow up in anger, to humiliate myself, to beg Willow to come home. But I didn't. I simply looked at her quietly and said, "Willow, how old are you? Could you stop being so childish?" Then I turned around and walked away. After 2 weeks of a Cold War, we were finally one signature away from locking in the project our company had spent an entire year working on. But on the day of the business dinner, Willow showed up uninvited with Makoto in tow. She casually explained that Makoto had just joined the company and said, "Once the project is signed, let him use it as practice." Makoto gave me a smug smile. "George, looks like we can be friends again, like before." I felt a pulse throbbing hard in my temple. Back in college, Makoto and I had been close, until I discovered that he had only gotten close to me because he wanted to get to Willow. Ever since I married her, he had been a thorn in our relationship. Wherever Makoto went, trouble followed. Just as I was about to lose my temper and kick them both out, the client arrived. I forced myself to take a deep breath, plastered a polite smile on my face, and greeted the client and his wife. As we drank, I went around offering toasts, but Willow suddenly dropped her chopsticks and sat there with a cold expression, as if the client had personally offended her or owed her money. The live comments flooded in again. "Oop, she's jealous again. Hubby's out here toasting another man's wife." Another user replied, "Girl, that's the client's wife. Don't make it weird." I stayed composed and continued talking business. The client could see that I had both competence and humility. After 2 drinks, he laughed heartily and said, "President Wong, your team's design this time is innovative and impressive. You've got a strong character too. Cheers to a fruitful collaboration." I raised my glass, feeling a surge of confidence. Then came a loud gasp. Willow suddenly threw her wine straight into the client's face. I'm not some bar girl here to pour drinks, she snapped. Then she cast me a disdainful look, as if I were beneath her. I clenched my teeth and forced myself not to explode. I quickly bowed to the client and apologized, offering him tissues to wipe the wine from his face. Makoto grabbed my arm, his face dark. George, your wife is this upset, and you're not even trying to comfort her? You're siding with outsiders. The client stood up, his face cold. President Wong, I think we'll be withdrawing from this partnership. In that moment, it felt like I had been thrown into an ice pit. A whole year of effort was gone. I collapsed into my chair. Makoto kept piling it on. Good riddance. Just because you've got money doesn't mean you can treat people like dirt. Honestly, George, you were out of line. Your wife was upset, and you went and apologized to someone else. If it were my wife, I'd always take her side, no matter what. He turned to Willow. Don't be mad, Willow. I said it for you. Burning with rage, I stood up and slapped Makoto across the face. Get out. His face instantly turned red and swollen. He gritted his teeth and started. Tough truths are bitter medicine, honest Adavi. I didn't let him finish. I backhanded him again. Just as I was about to finish the job, Willow rushed over and blocked me. She stared at me with wide eyes, disbelief and fury written all over her face. Her voice trembled as she asked, George, why did you hit him? We locked eyes for a long time. I looked at her blankly, completely numb. Willow, the project the entire company worked on for a year is gone. Are you satisfied now that you've seen me lose it? She wasn't satisfied. Instead, she asked again, did you hit him for me or for the company? I was speechless. I pinched the bridge of my nose, forced myself to stay calm, and answered in an exhausted voice, for the company. She became even angrier, her voice turning icy. Then go marry your job. Makoto immediately moved closer to comfort her. Willow, don't let this get to you. She looked at me for a long time before finally speaking. George, do you know why I got close to Makoto? Because he knows how to comfort me. He gets jealous for me. He respects women. He cares about my feelings. He thinks about me. I felt hollow inside. With a hoarse voice, I replied, then be with him. Willow became furious. George, she shouted. I looked at her calmly and asked, Willow, what do you really want? The live comments started scrolling across the screen again. She wants you to apologize. She wants emotional value. She wants your feelings to revolve around her. George, she just loves you too much. She's insecure. Try to understand her. Another comment said, she doesn't say it, but deep down she's hurting. Every night she watches you stay up working, curled up alone, thinking, why isn't my husband with me? Does he not love me anymore? Someone else commented, are we really ignoring how much she's torturing him? All because she feels insecure. I couldn't take it anymore. Willow looked like she wanted to say something, but she held herself back. Finally, in a soft voice, she said, figure it out yourself. I didn't respond. I just stood there thinking, love. Maybe there had been love once. Maybe I had once cared enough to keep enduring everything, to keep trying, to keep putting her feelings before my own. But now all I wanted was to escape. And whether or not she loved me, I didn't care anymore. As I watched their backs disappear, I pulled out my phone and dialed my lawyer. I want to draft a divorce agreement, I said. We'll go over the asset division at the office tomorrow. When I got home, I collapsed onto the bed, completely drained. The comment stream immediately surged again. No way. If they really get divorced, the female lead's going to lose half her life. She loves him that much. Another comment read, Willow's pregnant. Can't he just hold back a little for her? I really don't get what the male lead's insisting on. She's staring at her phone, just waiting for him to comfort her. I shut my eyes and ignored the comments. I was exhausted. More than anything, I just wanted to sleep. After I woke up, I calmly ate my meal. At noon, I chatted with my dad. He asked, George, did you two have a fight? I was a little taken aback. He continued, no fight between husband and wife should last overnight. Just say something nice to coax her, and you'll patch things up. Women are emotional creatures. Once she becomes a mom, she'll learn to be more mature. I put down my phone and asked, "So you and Mom had a pretty good relationship, huh?" My dad was speechless. He came from the old generation, where he had always believed that in a marriage, a man should yield to his wife, tolerate her moods, and tend to her feelings. He believed that fearing your wife was a sign of love and that a husband's earnings were meant to be spent on his wife. So even though he and my mom had married for business and had no emotional foundation, he never held back when it came to giving. He treated her like a treasure, bought real estate for her, and made investments in her name. For a time, they lived in harmony. But everything took a drastic turn once she became pregnant. Her demands became non-negotiable, and her temper became completely unrestrained. She started threatening him with divorce or abortion over the smallest things. After I was born, I became her bargaining chip. No matter how much my dad compromised, she grew increasingly contemptuous of him, always coming up with new demands. In the end, she even forced him to get her immigration papers so she could run off abroad and live a carefree life with some boy toy. My dad finally said, "Willow's different. That girl really likes you." I lowered my head and let out a long sigh. "But Dad, why should I?" I said. I thought I'd been with Willow for 3 years. Yet she had only grown more difficult over time. I had been the one doing all the comforting for 3 years. Even the first time we slept together, she had the nerve to say, "Well, since you love me so much, I guess I'll agree." As if she were doing me some great favor. I carried the entire company on my back while constantly catering to her emotions. It was ridiculous. I had my own life and I wasn't interested in playing the simp anymore. The marriage had to end. The next day at the office, the corporate lawyer handed me the divorce agreement. "Mr. Wong, given the complexity of the asset division, we'll need to draft a separate property settlement," he said. The Wong and Liu families were both major corporations that were deeply intertwined, so I wasn't surprised. I asked, "How long will it take?" He replied, 3 days. I nodded. Just then, things got noisy outside. Willow walked in with a frosty expression and said, "Fire that manager of yours and promote Makoto." The lawyer quietly excused himself. I kept my head down and focused on my work, completely ignoring her. She sat down at my desk and snatched the folder from my hands. She didn't even look inside, unaware that it was the freshly printed divorce agreement. She tossed it aside, rested her chin on her hand, and gazed at me. "George, Makoto just joined. A lot of people aren't convinced by him. I want to help him out." The comment stream chimed in immediately. "She's trying to provoke him. She waited all night for him to show up and comfort her. Poor girl couldn't even sleep. 2 stubborn rocks smashing into each other. No one wants to give in. It's driving me crazy." Another comment said, "Don't be mad, George. She's just using this as an excuse to come see you. She misses you so much." I let out a cold laugh and said, "Last time he botched an entire project. The whole company had to clean up his mess. And now you want him promoted? Willow, what gives you the right?" She stared straight into my eyes and shot back, "Because he has me." She wanted to see something on my face, but I didn't give her the satisfaction. I simply said, "Then you two can go start your own thing together." Willow's expression darkened. She frowned and said, "George, I'm your wife. You're telling me to go work with another man." I smiled. "Isn't that exactly what you want? I'm just helping you out." Her face flushed as she shot back, "Fine. Don't you dare regret this." That very day, Willow left, taking half of the company's tech core with her. An announcement appeared. "New company launched. Please support us." Makoto held shares, while Willow leveraged her connections from the Liu family. All the projects related to Liu Corp were snatched back overnight. They didn't hesitate to compete with me for international markets either. And those tech leads were definitely worth their title. The moment the product was revealed, our foreign partners flocked to them. Leaning against a pillar, Willow looked quite pleased. She said, "George, after all, I'm your wife. If you just say the word, I might consider forgiving you." I turned to leave, impatient and completely uninterested in playing along. Thanks to her, the Wong and Liu corporations were now in full-blown polarization, which made the asset division much simpler. The Liu veterans who had come over were taken away by her too, so I didn't have to worry about any backstabbing down the road. Once the asset split was finalized tomorrow and I handed over the divorce papers, we would officially have nothing to do with each other. Suddenly, Willow grabbed my sleeve tightly, her tone irritated. "George, don't push it too far, or I really won't forgive you again." The comments lit up. Finally, the female lead isn't being so stubborn. She gave him an out. "Come on, male lead, take the hint and reconcile already. She's been crying herself to sleep these nights, torn apart after leaving you. This is the perfect chance to patch things up. Just be a little more generous, man." I looked back at Willow. There was hurt and hope in her eyes. Maybe the old me would have softened, but now I didn't care in the slightest. When she saw that I wasn't responding, she grew even more furious. She snapped, "I already gave you a way out and you still won't take it. Do you really want a divorce?" The tension was rising. Then Makoto rushed over to comfort Willow. "Don't be upset, Willow. It hurts me to see you like this. George is just being stubborn. I'll talk to him for you." I was speechless. Willow looked at me with eyes full of disappointment. Then she looked at Makoto with affection and said, "Just look at Makoto. Then look at you. What kind of man are you?" I'd had enough. I looked at her and said, "Then divorce it is." The air instantly froze. Willow stared at me in disbelief. "Do you even know what you're saying?" she asked. "Divorce," I repeated. Her lips pressed into a thin line, emotions raging in her eyes, right on the verge of exploding. Makoto's smugness practically overflowed, even though he still tried to play the role of the concerned friend. He said, "George, not to call you out, but you've really gone too far. You think Willow's easy to bully? Don't assume she won't actually go through with a divorce." After saying that, he glanced at Willow. The comment section immediately reacted. "This scumbag's still trying to stir things up. Please don't fall for it, main couple." Willow bit her lip but held back her temper. After a moment of silence, her tone softened. "George, I won't argue with you anymore. Just admit you were wrong, and I'll forgive you." The comments exploded again. No need for a divorce. She practically admitted defeat. Close enough, let's call it even. Another comment said, "She's already backing down. What more does the male lead want?" Ugh. I want sweet moments, not this mess. I was sick of the comments and I was sick of Willow. I took 2 steps back, ready to leave. Willow suddenly burst out, "George, you better not come crawling back to me." Then she grabbed Makoto and kissed him. After going home, I called a moving company. All my belongings were transferred to my private residence overnight. When morning came, I went straight to the office to find the corporate lawyer. Once I got what I needed, I headed straight for Willow. Willow was venting to her friends, who were busy comforting her. One of her girlfriends said, "Willow, seriously, with your looks and status? Why worry? 3-legged frogs are rare, but 2-legged men are everywhere. You've got guys lining up to chase you, so why cry over a guy as emotionally clueless as George?" Willow shot her a glare and snapped, "Get lost." I stood at the doorway but didn't go in. Another friend chimed in, "You don't get it. Willow and George grew up together. Their bond isn't something just anyone can compare to." Sophia handed Willow a drink and joined in. "Willow, don't stress. George has been following you around like a lost puppy since grade school. He's been head over heels for you forever. There's no way he'll really divorce you. Besides, remember when his Wong family had that financial crisis? It was your Liu family that saved them. He wouldn't dare." I had known since childhood that I was going to marry Willow. Back then, she was proud but not unreasonable, and she had zero patience for cheesy self-help quotes. She even stepped up during my family's worst moment. She once told me, "George, no matter what happens, I'll be right by your side." But then she made these friends, got close with Makoto, and everything changed. She became temperamental and we fought all the time. I bit my tongue for 3 years, for her and for the Liu family. But the woman standing in front of me now wasn't the one I once knew. I should have woken up long ago. Sophia continued. Just based on that alone, George should spend his whole life paying you back. If he doesn't, people ought to call him spineless. Willow's expression softened a little, clearly thinking I wouldn't dare divorce her. I pushed the door open, and all eyes turned toward me. One friend exclaimed, "See, there he is. You didn't come home all night." George was probably worried sick. Willow's lips curved ever so slightly, though she kept up a cold front. She asked, "What are you doing here?" I glanced at Sophia without replying, walked forward, and was about to hand Willow the divorce agreement and the asset division documents. One sharp-eyed girl noticed the word property on the folder. She said, "Whoa, he brought the assets too. He must be here to beg forgiveness. Now that's commitment." Willow rolled her eyes and leaned into Makoto's arms. "Me? I can't stand emotionally dense guys who can't communicate properly. But since you've been miserable all night and came running here to apologize, I might consider giving you another chance." Makoto immediately interrupted. "Willow, if you forgive him too easily, he'll just walk all over you again. Let me give him a piece of my mind." Willow's pleased expression collapsed instantly. In a fit of spite, she said, "George, come apologize to Makoto, settle our tab, and I'll go home with you." The comment section was more anxious than I was. "Girl, stop. He's clearly made up his mind about the divorce." Another comment said, "She's really digging her own grave this time. I'm not rooting for her anymore." I sneered, slapped the divorce papers down in front of her, and said, "Sign it." The bold words, "divorce agreement," stared her directly in the face. The smile that had been forming on her lips froze, and her face darkened instantly. After a long pause, she looked up at me, her eyes wide with panic and disbelief. "George, come on. There's a limit to jealousy. Just tear that up and let's pretend none of this happened. Okay?" Her voice trembled as she stared directly into my eyes. I opened the divorce agreement, pointed to the signature line, handed her a pen and said, "Here, sign." The silence was suffocating. Willow looked like she was about to shatter. Suddenly, crash. She swiped a cup off the table. The corners of her eyes were red as she rasped, "I already said I'd come home. What more do you want from me?" I stared at her coldly. She looked down, avoiding my eyes, her whole body trembling. Then she stepped forward and clutched my arm, her voice shaking. "Okay, I get it. Let's go home." I shook her off and said, "Willow, we don't have a home anymore." Her hand jerked back, her eyes brimming with tears. I bent down, picked up the divorce papers, then pressed the pen into her hand. She tried to pull away, her eyes wet. "I'm not signing," she whispered. "George, the baby, it's yours. You can't just walk away from me. I'll stay away from Makoto. Let's go back. Please." She lowered her head, whispering to herself in denial. I just found it laughable. I've never been someone who blindly believes in others, not even the endless stream of comments. Everyone has their blind spots. Even those so-called observers can miss things. And what I saw was simple. A wife who had never once let me touch her suddenly became proactive, and just like that, she was pregnant. I looked at Willow and said, "Just sign it. I don't want to get ugly. Let's end this with some dignity." With that, I stopped wasting time. I grabbed her hand and began guiding her to sign, stroke by stroke. Her fingertips turned white as she resisted. A sorrowful aura clung to her as she fought against me. The signature came out crooked and harsh, marred by her struggle, but it was still a signature. I turned to leave, but she grabbed my sleeve, her fingers tightening around it in desperation. Makoto came over, wrapped her in his arms, and gently pried her fingers away from mine. "It's okay, Willow. Let him go. You still have me." Just as I stepped out the door, I heard Willow yelling from inside, "Get out! All of you, get out!" Crash, bang. She was throwing things and shouting, "George, don't you dare regret this." A second later, a woman screamed, "Willow, what's happening to you?" The comments immediately poured in. What's going on? Why is she bleeding? Another said, That's not right. Is it because she got too emotional? I didn't look back. Once I got home, I called my assistant to go over my work schedule for the next few days. After a full day of work, I was completely exhausted. Just as I got home, Willow started calling. I didn't pick up. She kept calling, so I muted my phone, took a shower, and went to sleep. The next morning, my phone was blown up with more than 100 missed calls and countless messages. George, come to the hospital. I'm in so much pain. Please, I'm all alone here. I'm scared to death. I can't take it anymore. George, where are you? I glanced at the screen, then tossed the phone aside. My assistant had already booked me a noon flight. I had no time to waste on her. Over the weekend, I was having lunch with Sophia when my assistant called. Apparently, Willow had gone online and accused me publicly in a desperate attempt to make me see her. I said, Just do your jobs. Treat her like she's not even there. But the internet exploded with hate. One comment read, He climbed to the top on a woman's back. Now that he's rich and powerful, he dumps his pregnant wife for a mistress. Men like this make me sick. Another said, Ungrateful scumbag. I'll start the boycott. No more Wong Corp for me. Someone else added, Who would trust a product from someone like him? Count me in on boycotting Wong. I shut the webpage and closed my eyes to rest. But the calls from the company's senior executives kept coming in. Clients were backing out. Projects were being blocked. The company's image was tanking, and the stock price was plunging. The corporate lawyer called and said, Mr. Wong, the public backlash is spiraling out of control. Should we intervene? I answered flatly, No, let her stir things up. If needed, throw more fuel on the fire. Within weeks, public opinion flipped upside down. In the end, I still went to see Willow. She looked at me and said, George, why didn't you reply to my texts? Why wouldn't you come see me? Her face was pale and hollow, and she couldn't hide how worn down she was. Then she said, I was going insane looking for you, but thank God you came. Hubby, let's be good from now on. No more fights, okay? Then she casually pulled a fruit from the bag beside her and handed it to me to peel. Hubby, I'm eating for two now. I need all the nutrition I can get. I quietly peeled the fruit without responding. She didn't seem to mind. She simply smiled and continued, Oh right, let's name our baby. She thought for a moment and said, How about joy? It means happiness. The three of us living happily ever after as a family. She clung to my arm, her eyes sparkling. George, I'm so happy right now. I frowned slightly. From start to finish, I stayed cold, never even sparing her a glance. Yet she was lost in her own world, unable to tell dream from reality. The doctor came in and asked to speak to me outside, reminding me of the necessary precautions. Just as I finished talking to the doctor, I ran into Makoto. He smirked and said, You can't win against me. Give it up. I said nothing. He continued, I came into this world for Willow. She was always meant to be mine. I didn't understand his conviction, but I had no interest in arguing with him either. I simply said, She's just a woman. If you want her, take her. He looked at me and laughed. Wow, look at you pretending to be chill. Your wife got stolen, and you're acting all magnanimous. Then he mocked me. You're nothing but a cardboard cutout, and you think you can compete with me? I didn't respond. Willow came out. Her face was ice cold, but her eyes were filled with pain. The moment she saw Makoto, her tone dropped to a glacial chill. Get out. Makoto opened his mouth to speak, but before he could say anything, Willow snapped, Get lost. If you show your face in front of us again, I'll make sure you disappear for good. Makoto shot me one last hateful glare, then turned and left. Willow silently walked up to me and hugged me tightly. She was trembling. After a long while, she finally let go and wiped away her tears. I sighed. Willow, the babies? She cut me off. Hubby, I can't even eat your cooking here. Once I'm better, I want to eat your food every day. For the rest of my life. Okay? She wanted to pretend everything could go back to the way it was, but I shattered that illusion. Willow, whether it was my child or not, the baby's gone. We can't go back. A tear dropped onto the floor. Willow forced a smile and said lightly, "It's okay. I can still have another baby in the future. It's fine." I looked at her and said again, "Willow, there is no future. Once you recover, we're getting a divorce." She froze and looked up at me, her eyes bloodshot. "No, I won't divorce you." I turned away and replied, "It's not up to you." She said, "George, we've known each other since we were kids. You've liked me for so many years. You wouldn't really leave me. You're just mad right now, aren't you? I promise I'll behave from now on. I won't make you angry ever again. As long as you don't divorce me, I'll do whatever you say. I won't even bother you while you're working. I'll do everything you want." She looked at me with eyes full of vulnerability and desperation. Under her hopeful gaze, I slowly shook my head. Her expression shattered. She choked out, "But George, I love you. These days when you were gone, I kept replaying our memories over and over again. But every time I opened my eyes, I was alone. The person who used to be there for me was gone. That hurt more than dying. I just loved you too much. That's why I was so insecure, so desperate to prove you wouldn't leave me." I asked, "Did you ever think about how I felt?" She wiped her tears and whispered, "I'm sorry." I replied, "If you're really sorry, then be there on time for the divorce." On the day we finalized the divorce, Willow showed up in a school uniform, trying to delay things by reminiscing about our school days and the sweet memories of our youth. But no matter how much she pretended, she wasn't that teenage girl anymore. Impatiently, I said, "Can you wrap it up? I'm in a hurry." That single sentence stunned her. She went silent for a while, then her eyes turned red. She asked, "George, is there really no going back?" I looked at her coldly. She stood there frozen for a long time, as if her feet were made of lead. I dragged her in, got the number, waited in line, and signed the papers. She cried while signing. As soon as I received the divorce certificate, I didn't even look at her. I turned around and left. She chased after me, but I got into the car and hit the gas, blasting her with exhaust fumes. Back at the office, I moved fast. It was time to take control of the narrative. I released the bed photo Willow had once sent me, the chat logs where she talked about having a baby with Makoto, and Makoto's smug taunts. All of it went online. Willow had cheated. Makoto was the homewrecker. Once people saw the truth, public opinion flipped instantly. Comments flooded in. "So we were used as tools the whole time?" Another said, "That scumbag wrecked someone's marriage and still acted like a victim. Gross." Someone else added, "With a husband like that, this girl must have had her brain kicked by a donkey." Another comment read, "George went through all that humiliation with such grace. Legend." And then, "I'm switching all my purchases to Wong Corp from now on." As the backlash escalated, Makoto and Willow became targets of public fury, the homewrecker and the cheater. Lewd Corp was hit with scandal after scandal, and within just a few days, the entire company was on the verge of collapse. Even when Willow went outside, she couldn't catch a break. People threw rotten eggs at her, filmed her, and mocked her online. The once beloved heiress of the Liu family, who had always been surrounded by admiration, had fallen face first into the mud. She was barely a shell of the woman she used to be. The day Lewd Corp officially declared bankruptcy, I saw Willow again. She looked completely worn out, but she still managed to smile at me. "Hubby, Lewd Corp is gone. I've become a rat on the street. Do you feel better now?" I looked at her coldly. She stood there pale and silent, her eyes downcast and her voice trembling. "Please, don't look at me like that. George, it hurts so much." Impatient, I shot her a glance, brushed past her, and opened the car door. The moment she saw Sophia sitting in the passenger seat, Willow rushed over. "Is it because of her?" she asked. I replied, "Think whatever you want." Then I got into the car and shut the door. For the first time in a while, the comment stream popped back up. "Poetic justice. She got exactly what she deserved. Another comment said, she didn't appreciate what she had spent all her time acting out, and now she's putting on another act. Willow leaned against the window, her eyes filled with pain. Choking back tears, she whispered, "Please, don't go." I hit the gas. The car roared to life, and Willow completely broke down. "George, I was wrong. Please don't leave me. You're all I have." She ran after the car through her tears, only to be struck by a speeding motorcycle that came out of nowhere. A crowd quickly gathered around her, blocking her from my view. From that moment on, we were strangers. Half a month later, on my way to the office, I ran into Makoto, who was disguised from head to toe. He had a bottle of chemicals in his hand and suddenly charged straight at me. He yelled, "I'm the real protagonist of this world. I have a system. If I destroy you, everything will fall into place." Just as the unknown liquid came flying toward me, a shadow suddenly leapt into its path. The entire bottle splashed onto Willow, whose leg was still limping from before. She winced slightly, but she seemed almost numb to the pain. In a weak voice, she whispered, "Good thing I made it in time. Thank God you're okay." I immediately called the police and an ambulance. My heart was in turmoil, flooded with emotions I couldn't untangle. As Willow collapsed, she softly said, "George, whether you believe me or not, I loved you." Security pinned Makoto to the ground as he continued raging. "Willow, you crazy woman. You were supposed to love me. I came into this world for you. If I can't conquer you, I'll die. Willow, I'm the main character." Willow was taken to the hospital, while Makoto was taken to jail. And me? I sat at the helm of a publicly listed company, commanding a fortune worth billions. Luxury cars and villas were in my name, countless of them. I lived freely, completely unbound. My father finally divorced my mother. With our wealth secured, we traveled the world, going wherever we wanted, whenever we wanted. The sun was shining, and I smiled as I looked toward the horizon. The final comment on the screen lingered. As expected, a man who lives for himself is the most unstoppable of all.